So this afternoon I'm gonna be telling you a bit more about how my research is going, and I've now rounded up week 7 to 12. So the last time I made a video was just after Bijan's and Charlie's interview, and I did tell you a little bit about my experience doing that. So what I've been doing over the past weeks is I've been looking a bit more into theory and kind of narrowing down the focuses that the focus that I want to use for analyzing the information that I've gathered. So far, being able to interview people was really hard. I had about 5 different people that I spoke to that said yes, I can come and speak to them, but when it was time to actually have an interview with them, they were so busy with their businesses that I couldn't get through to them. So eventually, what I had to do was I had to send someone some questions, and they did that for me over a video, and I'll tell you a bit more about that. Another thing that I've done so far is I really wanted to get a variety of views. So I've not just looked at up and coming entrepreneurs, I've now looked at really successful ones, those that have major success, to see if what they would be saying would be the same as what the newly up and coming ones would be saying, or if there would be some sort of a different. And I really thought there would be a difference, but there isn't any difference. They've been saying pretty much the same things. From Charlie's and Bijan's interview, I then add some questions because I noticed like I wasn't getting enough information, so I kept adding questions. So I've added some questions to the last interview that I've done, and you'd be able to see that on the profile of the interviewee. So you'll be able to see how the questions sort of varied as I went through the interviews. But these are some of the things that I've picked up from the interviews and from the videos that I've downloaded for the major successful entrepreneurs. You have a few people talking about religion, about how believing in God is what's helped them to get to where they are, and they strongly feel that if they didn't do that they wouldn't be successful. You also had people talking about believing in you as a person and what you're capable of doing. I think it's that the lady from Spanx, Sarah Blakely, she spoke about that a lot. And Tyler Perry talked about that a lot as well. And then Trevor Gill mentioned believing in yourself and believing in what you can do and finding different things to do, finding what not happening at the moment and what do you think people need to help them in their everyday life. Another thing that I noticed was that when you talk to these people, it was almost like they were very inspirational, like you wanted to listen to them more and more the more you talk to them. And that's one of the things that I noticed that were very similar to what Theory was saying. They were also very dedicated people. Like when you listen to their past, there's this video that I downloaded. You'd be able to see this on one of the pages, where it's 4 different entrepreneurs from, I think it's California, and they were talking about their experience and stuff. And one of the things they were talking about is how hard they have to work and how much they have to work, and having to continuously do things, not having someone or not having a team to work alongside you, whether you feel like waking up today or you feel like you just want to take a break because there's no one to actually help you with what you're doing, and you don't have the money to pay anyone to do it. You have to kind of like do it all yourself. So you have to be the manager, you have to be the worker, and then you have to be the person that actually look after your finances. So it's like they tend to multitask a lot. And again, that's another thing I saw in theory as I was reading along. I think it's this bad book right here, actually, kind of is talking a lot about entrepreneurs having to multitask and innovate, being able to innovate. One of the other things that was really good was the idea of not just being able to come up with an idea, but the harder part was to actually execute the idea, which I think that I found out when I was asking about why do you think entrepreneurs fail. I never thought of that really, to be honest. I just thought, well, you have an idea and it's different and people might like it. But apparently, one of the most difficult things is having an idea and not being able to sell it to people, not being able to say to people, well, hey, this will work. So that's another thing that I've found out. So there's quite a good mixture of views, and like I say, they are very similar. I haven't seen anything that's quite different as yet. Another really interesting thing though was about how they contribute, and this wasn't necessarily a part of the plan. It was something I came up with when I started reading, and I bumped into it and I thought, hey, what, it would be good to see how entrepreneurs are actually contributing to the economy, like what theory said, because theory saying that, well, in the 90s they weren't very recognized. People didn't see them for what they were doing. People didn't think that small businesses contributed as much as bigger businesses. And what I've noticed is that that's actually not true. You've got Charlie. She's just started her business. I think the business should be about 7-8 months, and she's employed, I think, about six people, she said. And you've got Trevor, who's just started his business, and he's only been in business for 2 years, so he's still working full time as well as doing his business part time, and he's thinking of employing people by the ending of the year, which is really good. Then you've got Tyler Perry, who started quite small, and then he's got a whole entourage now. He's got how many different people that he's employed. So they are contributing in some way to economic growth, economic development, especially in the job market. So I think that's one of the things that I think maybe theory need to look into a lot more, because it's not that theory is not saying that they are not contributing. What theory is saying is that they're not being recognized enough for their contribution. So I think that's something that I would like to dig a bit deeper into, but I don't think I've got the time to go further into there. So from what I've gathered so far from theory and real life, what you'll notice is on the next page you will see a comparison between what's being said. And like I said, at the moment I'm not sure if I've seen any differences, but if there is any, or if there's any other new things that I've seen throughout my research, you'd be able to see that on the next page, where I think that page is called Theory versus Real Life. So when you have a look at that, you probably see some of the things that I've just been talking about. So I think that would be it for this week. I'm just having a quick look at my notes to see if I've got anything else that I'm missing out on. No, I think that it's been good so far. It's been quite an experience, and I've learned quite a lot. I think the only challenge was getting getting entrepreneurs to actually sit with me and have a conversation, because they were all so busy. I mean, to have so much of them lined up, I mean 5 of them, and to not get none of that 5, but then I had to find someone else. That was a bit disappointing, but it shows how much they have to do on their own. So that was quite an experience for me. But that's it, and I will tell you a bit more about the last bits of the research, hopefully in one more video. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. Bye.